Welcome back to another episode of Mirai Club. Today we're going to be going over some numbers. So sit back, relax, or try to relax as we talk numbers. Pretty simple math today, but if you ever wanted to know how many miles or what it would take or how long would it take for you to get the same average cost per mile as a new Lexus ES sedan base model. So essentially a glorified Camry. I use that as an example because that is the closest I could get for the price point of the Mirai and also the general class of the vehicle. So here we go. We're going to break down some numbers here. So for a new Lexus ES, your combined MPG is about 28 miles per gallon. The car takes about 15.9 gallons for a full tank. And with the current gas prices, it's roughly, I would say, $5. Let's be conservative here. I know it can go down from there, but let's give the Mirai some rope today. So let's say $5 a gallon. So each full tank of gas is gonna be just shy of $80. With that, you get 445 miles for a tank, and that equates to the number we're looking for. The target number we're looking for is 18 cents a mile. That's again using the Lexus ES, Lexus ES base model. So 18 cents a mile. That's what we're targeting. And how many miles do you have to drive for the Mirai to essentially hit that number? So you might be wondering, wait a second, the Mirai actually exceeds that number already on its own. And you're right, technically it does. But for those of you that don't own a Mirai, you might be wondering, so why are we even talking? It's because we get a fuel card, us Mirai owners or leasers, we get a fuel card that we can use on the car when we purchase it. So that fuel card currently at Toyota, and I believe Hyundai is the same, is a total of $15,000 in fuel credits, or fuel credits essentially. Essentially think of it as like a debit card you can only use at the pump. So with that being said, technically speaking, you're not paying anything up until $15,000. So how many miles is that given the current hydrogen prices? You can drive up to 25,000 miles for $15,000 in hydrogen fuel, which is terrible, I understand. But again, that's not coming out of your pocket necessarily. Sure, you might be paying in other ways, depreciation and things like that, but we're not going to factor that into this equation. Simple math again. So let me just break it down for you. For the Lexus ES example, I used the metrics that the EPA provides and what Lexus provides. In this example for Toyota, I'm not accounting for, I'm using real world numbers here. Real world meaning this car is estimated to get 402 miles of range, but I'm not using that number because I never do. For those of you that do get 400 miles of range, good for you. But for the rest of us, and I think I can speak for most owners, you do not get that. You get roughly 300 to 320, perhaps give or take. I'm using 300. So with that being said, 300 miles of range per tank. Each tank costs just above, but I'm going to round it down, $180. And you're looking at 60 cents per mile for a Toyota Mirai if you were to pay out of pocket. 60 cents per mile. That is almost a little more than 3 times as much as a Lexus ES MPG, or cost per mile. So with the total, again, if you do the math, you get 83 total fills with that $15,000, and then you get 25,000 miles at the end of that fuel cards once you exhaust the fuel card. So starting from then you start counting, because that's when it starts coming out of your own pocket. So if you combine the total miles that you can go in addition to hit that 18 cents a mile. I'll just cut to the chase. You can get 11,000 miles. So to match a Lexus ES MPG, or cost per mile, sorry, you can go 11,000 miles after the fuel card is exhausted. So combined total is 36,000 miles, and then you hit that threshold. And after that, you're gonna cost more per mile quite a bit. And this is all assuming hydrogen prices stay at $36 a kilogram, which they currently are, especially, or at True Zero stations, that is. So with that being said, what does that mean in terms of timeline? Like, how long does it take for you to get there? Obviously, that depends on how much you drive, but using the year average of 12,000 miles a year, which I think is pretty conservative, especially if you're using the car to commute to work. It's probably more than that, but let's say 12,000 miles a year. You're looking at 3 years. 3 years is what it takes for you to hit the same cost per mile as a Lexus ES, and which averages 28 miles a gallon. So that's what you're paying out of pocket. I think it's like $6,600 is what you would pay out of pocket, and then you start hitting that average per mile of 18 cents a mile. But yeah, there you go. In case you were curious and you're wondering, okay, if again, you have to factor in depreciation and all that stuff in the total equation. But if you're purely looking at cost per mile, it would take you up to 36,000 miles if you were to buy the car today. And if the hydrogen prices were to be stable at $36 a kilogram, it would take you 3 years to match what you would have paid in gas for a Toyota or Lexus ES. So there you go. Little fun fact, use that into your equation. But again, I would look at the whole picture. This is just looking at fuel. I'll look at depreciation, obviously maintenance, like how much is that? And a couple other things, interest rates and all that stuff. But if you're just curious on fuel, there you go. Hope this was helpful, at least provoke some thoughts. There you go. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.